immediately though, like, was there points where you missed it or?
Yeah, are you talking about when I got out?
Yeah.
The
Flying?
Yeah. Well, the factors during the end of my career that were influencing me to get out of the jet were basically something where I experienced probably like same things that a lot of veterans go through. They go through guilt, shame,
Yeah.
because they aren't part of the team anymore. And so they feel guilty for not being part of the team. And I got to feel what that was like. Not maybe to the same level as a combat veteran, but I definitely felt it, you know. So I felt guilt and shame of not being part of the team for a while. And that lasted for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. It slowly got better. But that was rough, I think, when I felt like I was letting everybody down by not being there,
Yeah. And what was that first couple of years of practicing dentistry like? And you didn't go right into owning
Yeah,
practice
right.
away.
I was in private practice in Wisconsin, and then I worked for Dr. Zeno in Sun Prairie.
Wait, hold on. Actually, what was it like being a dentist and a fighter pilot at the same time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, when I was a fighter pilot, I was a combat wingman.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going through combat qualification, which is kind of like a master's degree, bunch of PowerPoints. It's like
So you were getting ready to go to combat.
Yeah, it was like a dissertation. So getting through that was like really, that was more intense than anything I had done in dental school. That was bigger than dental school. It was easy. Dental school was easier, which is hard. It was interesting, but it was easier than that. And then after that was, I was able to work as a dentist and have a team of 5 or 6 employees, team members with me. And they called me doctor. I was responsible for exams and simple dental procedures, fillings and crowns. And I loved it because I was the leader of the team. And I felt like dentistry was always easier. It always came really easy to me. Of course, I was rusty when I first came out. Like I had to really relearn a lot of dentistry. And when I did, when I was going through reintegration into dentistry, the John Kois Institute,
Yeah.
Kois Teaching Center, dude, that was basically like going back to dental school again. So it was fantastic. That is a comprehensive look at dentistry from an excellent perspective, all different systems. So I highly recommend it. I love John and what John Kois, how he guided my life, especially during the time that I really needed it because I was coming back from, pilot training.
Yeah.
And I was talking a lot about being a pilot. He's a incredible, legendary dentist. Like he is probably the biggest difference maker of any dentist to ever live. I would say.
Not from his coaching or what?
Everything. I mean, he's been healthy for so many years. I mean, just his career is so big. He's like the Tom Brady because he stayed healthy and he stayed teaching and he stayed doing dentistry. John Kois has photos of patients over sometimes 40 years, maybe even longer.
Wow.
And it shows them aging.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that stuff is priceless. No other teaching institute has that.
Mm.
There was probably like 4 teaching centers in the United States, and they all have their strengths. But the degree to which the Coy Center is comprehensive, nobody's close.
Wow.
So I really have to thank him for how he guided my career during that time. I remember when I went to training, on dental implants in BC. I was at Abbotsford, BC, at Norm Ickert's class. And Norm Ickert's a fantastic dentist in Canada. Super loving and polite. He's the dentist that you would want. He's exactly the kind of guy that you would want as your dentist. And from his team, how he was a leader to like everyone that worked there, how his office was set up, how they communicated. I learned so much from Norm. And when I went to training at the Norm Ickert Teaching Center in Canada, they kept telling me I needed to go to Coy's.
Mm. Yeah.
And they were, and Helen, and Helen was telling me, you've got to go to the Coy Center. So she just kept harping on that and pounding that. And it just was like a nail that just kind of stayed in my brain, and it was embedded deep. So I thought, okay, I'll do it. And so I got into one of his courses, and then that's what started me going further. So that's something that I'll always keep, and I want to pursue it more because there's different levels of the Coy Center. There's graduate, and then there's mentor, and then there's instructor, and but the teaching center has got something for everyone in dentistry, and I think that helped a ton to make me the dentist I became. Mm-hmm. So I have to thank them. There's other great dentists that I've learned from over the years, like Brian Harris and James Heaton, and others. Paul Homily is another great communicator, great dentist. Yeah. But I've gained so many friendships over the years and learned so much from those guys that but back early on, it was John Coy's.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And what about like starting a business with? It's a hard balancing dentistry and then also learning about how to run a business at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, when you're in your late 20s, early 30s, you work 80 hours a week. Mm-hmm. You're done with dentistry at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You'll stay till like 8 o'clock at night, sometimes even later.
Yeah.
Just staring at the walls or doing training and learning. It's just incredible the difference between a young person that's hungry, how much they can absorb, versus someone that's in their late 50s. Yeah, they feel like they've learned everything.
And you remember that period?
Mm-hmm. Yep. It was like a dry sponge. You're soaking up everything.
Yeah.
Or like a sponge that's already wet. It just bounces off. It's not absorbed. But when you're young, you're a dry sponge. And I think that getting the best training and coaching, executive coaching you can early is huge, because your brain fills up, your life fills up with responsibilities.
Yeah.
You want to be you start having kids, and you're involved in their sports, and you have more roles and responsibilities. So for me, I was happy to get some excellent advice from Helen and Norm at Norm Ickert, and go to the Coy Center like they told me to.